Hello viewers, how we all doing? Today we're going to be talking about Derek Powers, aka Blight. Origin Explained. I'm Andrew Lapomardo, your narrator, and this is Marvelous Videos. Batman's legend lives on. Crime is rife in Neo-Gotham in the distant future. Years after the original Caped Crusader vanished, a new hero must arise to take the Bat's mantle. Terry McGinnis is Batman, and his exploits are unlike anything the world has ever seen. Terry has pledged to protect his family and his community from the maniacs intent on wreaking havoc on the streets with the assistance of Bruce Wayne. Derek Powers, alias Blight, is a crucial foe of Terry McGinnis' Batman in Batman Beyond's far future. He was the wicked CEO of Powers Tech, who was exposed by Batman to a mutagen of his own manufacturing, transforming him into a monster metahuman.
Why do you persist in tormenting me? All I want is to be left alone.
Batman Beyond is an American animated television series made by the WB Television Network. It is also known as Batman of the Future in some places. Beyond is a post-apocalyptic continuity of the new Batman adventures, which were cancelled in favor of a more youthful Batman. The last parts of Bruce and Andrea's separation journeys are shown in Batman Beyond. The Phantasm originally appeared in the future in the episode Epilogue of Justice League Unlimited. Terry McGinnis, the Batman of the future, came to Amanda Waller for explanation regarding his origins in this episode. According to Waller's top-secret Batman Beyond project, Terry was formed from Bruce's DNA. Waller planned to create a new Batman by inventing someone who looked just like Bruce. Blight has a striking physical similarity to Batman villain Dr. Alexander Sartorius, Dr. Phosphorus. Blight's development was most likely inspired in some manner by the character. Blight was foreshadowed throughout by Scott Snyder's run on Batman, which included various powers, family members, as members of the Court of Owls, including Joseph and Maria Powers. Today's video will look into Derek Powers, commonly known as Blight. Let's delve deeper into this character. Before we go into our explanation, we have a small request. But if you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. That is a small click for you, but to us, it means the world. Thank you, and let's begin. Blight backstory explored. Derek, the head of Powers Technology, secretly created banned technology while hiding from the authorities on many hidden sites. In one of them, he worked alongside Warren McGinnis and experimented on the super-fast Split. During the Brother Eye battle, he united with Wayne Enterprises in hopes of producing enough defensive production to counter the cyborgs. Bruce Wayne attempted to shut down all the Powers dark sites during the fusion but was unable to since some remained operational. Powers had a mishap in one of these experiments, transforming him into a man of pure radiation, now known as Blight. He became a terrible menace to Gotham and battled Batman. Terry just escaped alive from their final battle in a submarine, while Blight was lost in the bay's waters, presumed to be dead from drowning. Powers began his career as the CEO of a modest company named Powers Technology, which grew in power and influence after purchasing Wayne Industries in 2019. Despite repeated attempts by Bruce Wayne to avoid the corporate takeover, Wayne was compelled to accept the merger due to his worsening health. Following acceptance of Powers' offer, the firm was renamed Wayne Powers and placed under Powers' unethical care and control. After around 20 years, Powers began to take over more of the company, which had grown into a formidable multinational firm. For the countless downsizings, layoffs, and aggressive takeovers of several other industrial enterprises, Powers became renowned in the financial world as a financier czar and a corporate kingpin. Powers ousted Lucius Fox Jr., the son of Lucius Fox, from his role as president of the corporation, among other things. Because the Foxes were one of Bruce Wayne's closest pals during his glory days, Powers acquired Wayne's suspicion further. Powers would only connect with Wayne indirectly, such as giving baskets of oranges to him at Christmas and just briefly conversing with him. Aside from his dubious ethics, Powers was abusive to his son, Paxton Powers, whom he frequently neglected. He was finally sent to South America to oversee the local Wayne Powers branch, a position that Paxton despised as grunt work.
You've always been a fool. Now I see I'm on my own.
Derek's business techniques, on the other hand, rubbed off on his son. Derek then exiled him to South America to oversee the local Wayne Powers division, leading Paxton to become just as corrupt and cruel as his father. Powers has created a hazardous viral nerve gas that slowly eats away at the victim's skin in 2039. When a terrorist commander arrived, Derek showed him his nerve gas, which shocked him when he saw the images. He tried it on animals during the compound's testing, including a young cow. He infected an employee, Harry Tully. Powers claimed Tully's infection was accidental. Tully relayed the information to a coworker, Warren McGinnis. Tully died due to his exposure to the nerve gas, but not before Powers documented the consequences for possible purchasers. Powers dispatched his sidekick, Mr. Fix, to assassinate McGinnis and make it look like he was the victim of the Joker's gang to acquire the information. On the other hand, Fix did not receive the data disk discovered previously by Wayne's son Terry. Terry presented the DVD to Bruce Wayne, who Terry realized had previously been Batman. Derek Powers intended to send the nerve gas to Kaznia, a Balkan country. They promoted it to the Kaznian ambassador and commerce minister Valmos Egans, showing him terrible images of Harry Tully's protracted death at the hands of the gas. When Egans accepted the contract, Powers quickly began its shipment's timetable. Terry McGinnis would break into Wayne Manor, grab the most recent version of the Batsuit, and assume the identity of Batman to revenge his father's death. Batman prevented the shipment of nerve gas by making the carrier sink in Gotham Harbor, while Mr. Fix was still inside, causing Fix to drown. Powers had gone through the radiation therapy in secret to preserve himself from the ravages of the gas. And while the radiation had eradicated the infection, the gas was discovered to contain mutagen qualities, which had interacted with the radiation used to cure him, converting Powers into a radioactive metahuman, with his skeleton exposed. Despite delighting in his newly gained skills, Powers regularly masked his ailment by wearing fake skin and engaged physicians to locate a possible solution for his illness. When the government chose to build a new lunar outpost, Wayne Powers and Foxteca were two potential contractors. Powers recruited the Saboteur Inc. to sabotage Foxteca.
And he'll be happy. Moving on. Here's what I'd like you to do tonight, my dear.
When Batman interfered with Inc.'s objectives, Powers hired Inc. to murder Batman and any of his friends, but she failed and was imprisoned. A mysterious woman who stole Terry's suit from the Batcave and is acting as protector of Neo-Gotham in his absence, triggers the radiation alarm in the laboratory, attracting the attention of Bruce and Matt in the Batcave, but also of the new Batwoman. Nonetheless, the new heroine was unprepared to meet Blight, who, taking her by surprise, wins the upper hand. Blight survives Batwoman's efforts at trapping him in the building after activating a colossal bomb, underestimating her skills and revealing to her that he's dying and needs a new body to host him. Following the departure of Batwoman, Blight calls his old sweetheart, Constance Gustinoff, the only person capable of performing the transfer Derek desires. She informs him that she has the right guy for the job, an amnesic Terry McGinnis. The ideal vengeance on Batman and Bruce Wayne is served out on a silver platter. Constance continues seducing and then knocking Terry unconscious, trapping him in the transfer pod. While Constance returns Terry's memory to prepare for the surgery, Batwoman switches off the power and saves Terry, then leaves with him. Blight can't transmit any longer since his radiation is out of control, killing even Constance. The guy is furious, but he will not go until he has killed Bruce Wayne. Derek did in fact steal some of Wayne's secret files during their fusion. In one of them, he discovered information regarding a covert project run by Wayne Manor. With a simple assumption and the knowledge that Bruce was the previous Batman, he deduced the location must be the Batcave. Blight will be defeated once and for all by Terry McGinnis, back in his Batman suit, using the Batmobile. Terry digs a deep hole in Wayne Manor's underworld and buries Blight there. When Powers develops a lethal mutagenic nerve gas and plans to sell it as a weapon, one of his employees, Warren McGinnis, discovers evidence of the gas and is murdered, prompting the vengeful son of Terry McGinnis to become Batman, who foils Powers' plans and exposes him to the gas. Powers is subjected to extreme radiation exposure to save his life. But as a side effect, his entire body becomes radioactive, rendering him translucent. He can conceal his condition and limit his radiation by wearing a unique cosmetic skin that peels off over time. The cosmetic skin begins to deteriorate as his rage grows, increasingly out of control, and his radiation levels rise. Given all of Powers' misdeeds, this is a tiny example. Still, he doesn't appear keen on spreading radiation illness and advises people not to come too close to him when his radioactive form is exposed a few times. Some of this might be attributed to pragmatic villainy, since many of those individuals who work for him, or, in the instance of Inc., are paid to take out Batman for him.
No wonder I like working for you.
Now I suggest you leave. It's not healthy to be around me when I...
As a result, he can't afford to kill his subordinates and workers who are covering for him, caring for him, or carrying out instructions that he can't carry out carelessly without considerable danger of exposing himself. When Powers might be able to manage his transformation into Blight, he delegated power to his son, Paxton, but only as a puppet, since Paxton would be acting chairman of the board while getting commands from his father. During a meeting of firm shareholders, at which Bruce Wayne was also present, when Derek was announcing his temporary leave of absence, a group of locals from the South American country of Verdeza burst in to oppose Paxton. They had enraged Powers to where his radiation took effect and ripped away from his flesh. Powers erupted in a frenzy and began hitting the men. Bruce Wayne tried to stop him, but this enraged Powers even more. He attempted to assassinate Wayne right then, which Powers claimed he had always wanted to do. Powers went into hiding following a brief battle with Batman and having his Blight side exposed. Only his aide, Miss Winston, knew where he was. Powers was hiding in an ancient nuclear submarine to hide his radioactive trail. Batman encountered Blight after tracking him to the spot. Blight inquired who Batman was, to which Batman answered, "You killed my father." But, having killed so many people, Blight deemed this information worthless.
Blight will do.
Blight, from DC Animated Universe to comic. The enemy, better known as the radioactive Blight, went back in time in the New 52 timeline and menaced an unexpected group in the modern DC universe. Derek was never satisfied with his situation regardless of his newfound abilities or how dangerous he became to the new Batman. Aside from being required to wear a mask to conceal his identity, the powers were inextricably linked to his emotional condition. Blight was never a remarkably stable guy to begin with, was forced to walk on eggshells for the rest of his life, prompting his inclusion in the New 52.
Yes!
You killed my father.
Powers was also in the business of producing weapons, notably a mutagenic gas that he planned to sell abroad to make a fortune. Warren McGinnis, one of his workers, discovered proof of this and sought to bring it to the attention of the authorities. Tragically, Powers realized Warren owned the evidence and he had him assassinated, posing the incident as a gang attack. However, this one act of brutality accidentally led Terry McGinnis to take on the role of Batman to try to stop what Powers was doing. Terry was successful, but Powers was exposed to the mutagen in the process. He got radiation therapy to burn the mutagen out of his system to save his life. The procedure was successful, but Powers was drastically transformed as a result. Powers could now produce and manipulate radiation as Blight, and he assumed the shape of a luminous green skeleton.
So did you.
Blight went to the past after discovering a means to time travel, using a vampire's heart imprisoned within a grandfather clock. Yep, I said that. Assuming the appearance of a professor at Gotham Academy, Blight began hunting for a young Warren McGinnis to kill the youngster and eliminate him as a potential danger to Blight. If he succeeded, he will be free of Batman, and the fight that converted Powers into Blight would not have happened. The Gotham Academy Detective Club, on the other hand, was there to stop him. Blight's radioactive nature gradually made the pupil sick, prompting Gotham's Academy's most interesting students to explore him. They discovered his time-traveling device and spared Warren McGinnis' life, guaranteeing that the future Batman would be born one day. They tricked Blight into returning to the future by leaping through the clock, only to be dragged back when Blight pursued them. They then destroyed the heart that powered the time machine, guaranteeing that Blight would never have the opportunity to return. It was definitely an unusual way to bring Blight to the New 52, and his defeat to the kids seemed out of character. On the other hand, Terry was still in high school when he became Blight's adversary. Well, his failure highlighted his ineffectiveness. Blight's trek to the past demonstrated how cruel he could be. Still, it revealed how ultimately ineffectual he is as a villain in any period.
Let him go. Old man, I've been waiting to do this for years.
What makes Blight so dangerous? Derek Powers, subsequently known as Blight, is the primary antagonist of the Batman Beyond TV series, acting as the main antagonist of the first season, a posthumous adversary in seasons 2 and 3, and a figure featured in Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. He's also a reoccurring villain in a variety of DC comics. Derek Powers was an extremely bright individual who excelled in economics, commerce, and black market racketeering. After taking up other corporations and extracting hefty demands from them, he was able to gain dominance in the financial world. To that goal, he would terminate anyone who disagreed with him, but only under the guise of disobedience or incompetence. One significant example was the purchase of Walter Shreve's sound-based technology enterprise, alleging that Shreve lacked the pragmatism to operate a corporation correctly. Another instance of corporate takeover occurred when he dismissed Lucius Fox Jr. because of his links to Wayne, with whom Powers had previously severed relations from their shared firm. Powers held a late-night meeting to harangue the owners into selling him their company during one attempted purchase of another company. Under Wayne Legal Powers' revenues, Derek Powers experimented with unlawful waste disposal, such as throwing radioactive items into the Gotham harbor and out at sea.
We have come all the way from Verdesa. Please hear us out.
Get these men out of here.
Dad.
Powers, as his name implies, has become a living nuclear threat, giving out hazardous radiation levels even passively, making merely being near him, much alone touching him, fatal without some type of protection. Furthermore, he can control this radiation into powerful blast, at first simply as beams. Still, as his abilities expanded, he produced wide-ranging waves of energy. Excessive radiation exposure can result in radiation poisoning. According to the reports, the radiation energy bullets infect severe burns and disorientation. Blight can also transmit heat into other materials, such as seen when he irradiates Batman's Batrobe, and transformed into a brilliant ray of light. Horror is known to produce massive radioactive explosions around him, as he does in most difficult situations. Derek Powers frequently hired thugs, criminals, and even terrorists for his more extreme activities. He hired the Muscle, Mr. Fix, to assassinate Warren McGinnis, after discovering that McGinnis was hiding information about his nerve gas. He also hired Industrial Saboteur Inc. to attack the plants of his competitors. Powers was also persuasive and resourceful enough to persuade Walter Shreve to use his sound-based technology for murder. Powers was also hot in the literal sense, as he burned everything he touched. Since radioactive heat is capable of melting high-tech batsuits, he is also immune to melee attacks. Derek Powers, like Blight, was a walking radiation emitter, capable of emitting balls of radiation fire from his hands or cascading waves of radiation from his entire body. Despite its extraordinary resilience, these blasts were able to melt immense metal structures and even harm Batman's high-tech armor. Powers was able to use these energy bolts with precise accuracy. The radiation's heat could prevent him from dangerously frigid temperatures that would typically kill people. He even escaped from Mr. Freeze's icy jail without being hurt. As a result of his illness, Powers was unable to keep the radiation at bay on his own, and was compelled to wear a suit of prosthetic skin to retain a semblance of normalcy. Worse, the radiation became more intense with rage, peeling away at his prosthetic skin more and more, until it could hardly survive a day. So, if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. And get down in that comment section. We love talking to you guys. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.
The radiation is off the scale.
I think Powers is going critical. I've got to do something.
Ah!